J-Ram and the Guardians cruise into the Bronx to face Aaron Judge and the Yankees. What went down? We're going to talk about it all on tonight's show. This is MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Welcome into MLB Game Night. Every game, every night. I am J.D. Hafron, the host for Locked On Cardinals. Got my man Jon Frisch with us from Locked On Angels. Lots to get to on today's show, per usual. The polar bear enjoying the sunshine in L.A., we had an offensive showcase at Fenway Park, and the Colorado Rockies attempt to do something for the very first time this season. Today's show is being brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. We're going to start in New York, though, because I'm a big fan of José Ramírez. I just enjoy the game that he brings. Of course, Aaron Judge and the Yankees, a big deal as well. Yankees got a great outing from Carlos Rodon and a returning Jazz Chisholm Jr. on Tuesday night as they beat the Guardians by a score of 3-2 in the Bronx. The series continued on Wednesday night. We got Justin from Locked On Guardians telling us how Cleveland was able to turn back the clock by just a year in this one.
No two games in baseball are usually ever the same. No 2 years in baseball are ever the same, too. We found that out a lot with the Guardians in 2025. But on Wednesday night, we did see the Guardians throw it back to 2024 in the best way possible. It's Justin Latta from Locked On Guardians. The Guardians got a signature start from Luis Ortiz. He had 5 2/3 shutout innings. The Guardians shut out the New York Yankees. Just the second time the Bronx Bombers have been shut out this season. They scored 3 in the first. They added on with a Kyle Manzardo home run late. This was the kind of thing the Guardians did really well a year ago. They got the lead early. The starting pitching got it to the bullpen. The bullpen shut it down like they did all year last year. The beauty for the Guardians in this one is that they didn't need to use Cade Smith either. It went from Ortiz to Tim Herron, who was a member of the Big Four in the bullpen last year, who's kind of struggled this year. He got it to Hunter Gaddis, who was fantastic. And then Clase, who did let 2 runners on, but ended up striking out Aaron Judge, getting over that bugaboo from last year and looked much better, freezing some hitters late in the game, too. Guardians have a chance at a signature series win. They've already beat the Yankees at home. Now they have an opportunity to win this series on the road. Tune in to Locked On Guardians on Thursday morning or wherever you get your podcast for more.
Yeah, Emmanuel Clase struck out the side there at the very end of the game, and it's one of those things where it's like when he is on, he's almost unhittable, but then, you see him, he allows a couple of runners at the same time. It hasn't been quite as easy for him so far here in 2025. We got Jay Berman of the Locked On Yankees postcast telling us where the offense went wrong. Just the second shutout for the Yankees all season.
2 of 3 between the Yanks and the Guardians. This one goes to Cleveland. Nice and easy for the Gardos. 4-0 as the Yanks, they're shut out for just the second time this season. The only other time they were shut out, early April, Tariq Skubal in Detroit. No sin there. Luis Ortiz, 5 2/3 for Cleveland tonight. Yanks had just 5 hits from 3 players. Rice and Judge, 2 hits apiece. Bellinger had 1 as well. Everybody else took an offer. Yanks' 5-game home win streak is history. And the Guardians and Yanks will play the rubber game of 3 tomorrow night. That's when Max Fried takes the mound for the Bombers. Slade Ciccone goes for the Guardians. Again, the rubber game of 3 after a 4-0 win for the Guardians tonight. Yanks right now are 18-7 in their last 25.
Instead of focusing on what the Yankees didn't do, which is something that a lot of people are going to do, I'd rather focus on what the Guardians did do. More specifically, the guy I was talking about. José Ramírez extends his on-base streak to 30 straight games. Ooh. And it's now 3rd all-time in Guardians history with 378 doubles. Hall of Famer Tris Speaker is number 1 on the list at 486. So J-Ram, going to do some math here real quick, John, so bear with me. J-Ram is going to be 33 later this year. but he's been averaging 41 doubles a season over 162 games, 108 back of the Cleveland record. Certainly in striking distance to become the all-time doubles leader in club history.
Yeah, I think he can do it. He's awesome. Look, there's so many good third basemen in baseball. You got Machado and Bregman and Riley and Chapman, even Eugenio Suarez. But I'd say J-Ram is the most consistent out of all of them. If I'm starting a franchise and I have to pick among those third basemen, it's J-Ram. He's giving you 150 games plus a year. He's hitting 280 every year of his career, basically. He's given you 25 at minimum home runs, if not 40, which I think he had 39 last year. And JD steals bags too. He'll give you 20 plus. Last year he had 41 bags. So he's like a sneaky 5-tool player. It's incredible what J-Ram can do out there.
Yeah, and he's not a big guy either. He's not very tall. And, I wouldn't say you look at him and go, wow, that's a very physically fit young man. Like that, it just doesn't come off that way. But he gets out there on the field and he just does everything. He's a switch hitter. Like he's a stud. He's a stud.
I'll take him every day. Take him every day.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Moving on to the West Coast, Mets and Dodgers. Mets and Dodgers, two outstanding games to start this series. It's a 4-game set in LA. Both of them going to extra innings. The two teams split those first two games. So how would things go here in game 3? John's boy, Griffin Canning, on the mound for the Mets, a guy that John shredded most recently, talking about how bad he was in his last performance, so much that I dropped him in fantasy because I trust my partner, John, because he knows what he's talking about. He was going up against Tony Gonsolin of the Dodgers. We got Ryan of Locked On Mets on who dominated in LA tonight in this matchup.
A great start by Griffin Canning, a huge performance by Pete Alonso, and the New York Mets are 1 win away from beating the Dodgers in their second consecutive series. This is Ryan Ficklestein, the host of Locked On Mets, and we just saw domination for the Mets, quite honestly. They were beating the Dodgers good. They were having fun. You were seeing the dugout fired up all game long, laughing, smiling. Looks like a pretty confident Mets team right now, and rightfully so. They handle the Dodgers with ease as Griffin Canning was lights out, 6 scoreless innings. Pete Alonso, 2 monster home runs, particularly the second one, and 5 runs driven in. It wasn't until a solo homer hit by Andy Pajes in the 9th inning before the Dodgers even got a run as the Mets nearly shut them out, but a huge win for the Mets. They've now taken the season series, winning 4 of the first 6 games they have played this year against the Dodgers. There's 1 left, a chance for the Mets to win the 4-game set as well. David Peterson on the mound. We'll be talking about what we saw in this game and what's coming up on tomorrow's edition of Locked On Mets.
All right, let's send it to Jeff over at Locked On Dodgers before I ask for a formal apology from you, John. Let's go to Jeff at Locked On Dodgers to get his side of things.
Second straight game, an error in the infield led to a few runs for the Mets, and the Dodgers pitchers were unable to overcome that. Unfortunately, this time, Dodgers offense wasn't able to do anything about it either. What's up? This is Jeff Snyder from Locked On Dodgers. Dodgers dropped the 3rd game of this series to the Mets 6-1, ensuring they will lose the season series. They will try to split this 4-game series tomorrow in the getaway day game. Tony Gonsolin gave up 3 runs in the first inning, 2 earned, but realistically, none of them should have scored if Kike Hernandez turns a double play instead of making an error. In the end, Pete Alonso ends up hitting a 2-run homer in that inning. And the Dodgers never really battled. Andy Pajes hit a meaningless home run in the bottom of the 9th inning for the Dodgers' only run. And the Dodgers offense was just shut down by Griffin Canning, and some relief pitchers had a few opportunities. Really not many opportunities. It was mostly just a lackluster game for the offense that was never able to overcome the early deficit. Be sure to check out Locked On Dodgers on YouTube, wherever you get podcasts every weekday morning. We'll talk about this one. We talk about the wins, too. Those ones are maybe a little bit more fun, but if you love the Dodgers, check it out.
All right, so he mentioned that error from Kike Hernandez, but you were looking at the box score here, John, and you saw a lot of zeros for them, right?
Yeah, you got offers from Betts and Freeman and Muncy and Teoscar. You take all that away, even the runs that you feel like the Mets shouldn't score, there's no offense, right? So this one might have been 2-1, and that might change the dynamic of the game, make it a little closer. Everybody's kind of on their toes, but again, it's a lot of offers from this Dodgers lineup.
Yeah, huge night for Pete Alonso. They kind of talked about that. 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 11th career game with 5 or more ribbies. is also now tied with Darryl Strawberry for the most multiple home run games in franchise history at 22. Obviously, Pete's not nearly as far along in his career as Darryl Strawberry was. So that's saying something right there. John, would you like to issue a formal apology to me and Griffin Canning for those unflattering remarks that you made after his last start? Or are you good?
No, I'm good. This is what Griffin Canning does, and this is what it's going to look like for the rest of the year. He's going to look fantastic. He's going to look awful like he's done. But here's the thing. The Mets have unlimited resource, unlimited money, and they spend money to fix pitchers. They did it for Severino, they did it for Minaya, and they did it for Griffin Canning. So I have no qualms about saying that he is a much better pitcher away from the Angels with the Mets. And that's because they invest in their players, and they've definitely invested in Griffin Canning. But, give it a week, and we'll see what he does next time.
All right. Coming up next, two of the best offenses in the league got snuffed out. This is MLB Game Night. Today's show being brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA Finals, they are here. Basketball fans, are you ready? FanDuel going to make it easy to stay in the game before tip-off. And, of course, when the games are going on, Game 1 is going to be on Thursday night. So pretty excited about this. Player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans have so many more ways than ever to play smart and actually win big. And with FanDuel, you get to decide which players are actually showing up for the biggest moments, and you've got some good ones in this one. Shea Alexander, obviously, with Oklahoma City is, league MVP. Tyrese Halliburton doing amazing things with the Pacers. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am anxious for this one. You'll be able to track their trends and, help you build your next bet. FanDuel will help you combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action's unfolding. And maybe while you're watching, you have a read on who's going to be heating up at certain times to back it up with the same game parlay. All this can and will happen on FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Just head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back on MLB Game Night, and Phillies at the Blue Jays. And I mentioned, a couple of really good offenses got snuffed out. And that's what we're going to be talking about here. Phillies dropped 8 on the Blue Jays on Tuesday night, thanks to a big return from Bryce Harper, the showman, as we were told last night, and a big night for Trey Turner. Two teams with two capable offenses ended up having a ton of runs scored in Game 2. But not a lot, I should say, in Game 2. We got Mark from Locked On Phillies postcast explaining what exactly happened to the Phillies' power.
Foremost, the bats. 5 hits in this game, an 8-run performance in the previous night, just 1 run on Nick Castellanos' solo home run. Then you also look at a bases-loaded 1-out situation in the 5th inning, top of the order. Bryson Stott, Trey Turner, both go down on pop-ups, and in total, Turner, Stott, Harper 0 for 12 with 4 strikeouts in this loss to the Blue Jays. Then Brandon Marsh, 6th inning. You get a fly ball in the left center field gap off Mick Abel from Bo Bichette. Brandon Marsh hustled his butt off to get to the spot, got to the spot, and then missed the baseball with his mitt. Should have been a fly out to left center field. Instead, it ended up being an RBI triple for Bo Bichette and the only run allowed by Mick Abel in the game. And so far in his big league career, and then Jordan Romano, bottom of the 9th inning, leaves a fastball out over the middle of the plate, and his former catcher Alejandro Kirk puts it in the right center field gap for the game-winning RBI.
Yeah, Mick Abel, obviously, he's one of the top young pitching prospects in baseball.
Yeah.
Looked pretty good to start his career, hasn't he, John?
Yeah, Andrew Painter, everything's coming up Mick Abel right now for the Phillies. But, man, when you're in that situation where you're facing your former catcher like Jordan Romano was, that's never a good position to be in because who knows you better than your battery mate, and Alejandro Kirk proved that. So, 2-1 Blue Jays walk-off in Toronto. So they take the second game of the series, JD.
Another tight one as we move around the rest of the country, going to Washington, D.C. Cubs at Nationals in this one. Cubs took Game 1 on Tuesday night thanks to a big night from Michael Busch and a historical day from Picro Armstrong, Mr. PCA. Can the Cubs keep it going on Wednesday against Mackenzie Gore, who personally, I think is one of the more underrated left-handed pitchers in the game. You're just not hearing a lot about him outside of a game or here because the Nationals aren't winning nearly as much. So we got Ryan Clary from Locked On Nationals. He's got the answer on what went down in this one and whether or not the Nationals could put it off.
I already know that Mackenzie Gore, he's the Nats ace. But also, guess what? He also should be the favorite to win the NL Cy Young right now. I'm Ryan Clary from Locked On Nationals, and Mackenzie Gore does it today yet again. 7 innings pitch, 3 hits given up, striking out 7 batters and walking 1 against a very potent Cubs offense. He did not face Kyle Tucker, although Tucker did come in later in the game. It's got a little bit scary, a 2-0 lead, running on the corners with Kyle Tucker up at the plate. Kyle Finnegan gets the job done with the roller over to second. But earlier on in the game, though, when the Nationals were, trying to create some offense, Nasim Nunez got picked off later on in the game, gave the Nationals that insurance run, and also later on in the eighth, stole third base. Nasim Nunez, hats off to you, my man. That is how you get it done after you mess up. And on tomorrow's show, we'll talk all about this and much more on Mackenzie Gore.
All right, before we get to Sam Locked On Cubs, your thoughts on Mackenzie Gore as the NL Cy Young Award winner? Is he the leader in the clubhouse, John?
In the clubhouse, sure, but as far as the rest of the National League, I think you could probably think of maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 guys who are in the running for that. But I give Ryan credit. You gotta when you're on a team like the Nationals, you gotta stand up for your guys, and you gotta make sure they're in consideration. We got the All-Star game coming up pretty soon. I want to see Zach Neto get to the All-Star game, but I know Bobby Witt's going to get the most votes, but Neto's got to get in there somehow because he's been an All-Star. So I know where Ryan's coming from.
I understand. Yeah, Gore, not to take anything away from him. I was just singing his praises. 108 strikeouts on the season right now, leads all of Major League Baseball. It's just that you've got some guys who are also having some pretty awesome seasons right now. Kodai Senga comes to mind. He's pretty darn good. Yoshinobu Yamamoto has had a really good start. There's a couple of them out there that I'm kind of like, I don't know. But hey, we'll see. We'll see it. We got a long way to go still in the season. All right, let's get to Sam over at Locked On Cubs. Tell us about some missed opportunities for his Cubbies today.
This was one of those ball games you hear about. All the experts say if you can't get to a really good pitcher early, you may not get to him at all. The Cubs had bases loaded, nobody out in the first inning against Mackenzie Gore. They weren't able to score, and that was pretty much the ball game. I'm Sam Over from the Locked On Cubs podcast. Cubs wasted a beautiful outing from Matthew Boyd today. He went 7+, gave up 2 earned runs, and Cubs just couldn't get anything going after that first inning. Gore did not give up a base hit after the first inning. Cubs made it interesting late. We're able to get Kyle Tucker at the plate, to the plate as the lead run, but he grounded out to second base. And just one of those games, I think if you could come back, bounce back on Thursday, win the series, it's not one that upsets you too much. It was just one of those days. It's hard. It's hard to win every day in baseball, and I thought the Cubs had a good opportunity early, and then a really good pitcher settled in and just beat them tonight. I think that's the bottom line.
All right, PCA over 4, 3 strikeouts. Not a great night for him, but his biggest body of work so far this season. It's been outstanding so far, and he made an outstanding catch in center field in this one too. So he kind of gets you from every aspect of the game, whether it's defense, offense, stealing bases. Like, he's something else. Moving on to the Brewers at the Reds. The Brewers had their 8-game winning streak snapped on Tuesday by the Reds, and they were hoping that this was going to be a turning point, John. The rubber match went down on Wednesday. Let's check in with Chuck of Locked On Brewers to see who would take this series.
Didn't see that one coming today with our Milwaukee Brewers. Did not see that one coming at all. Losing on Tuesday, having that 8-game winning streak come to an end, and then just a blowout win, getting the bats going as well. Hey, everybody, Chuck Freeman, Instant Reaction, Locked On Brewers. Ike Collins putting the cherry on top with a 3-run blast in the 9th inning. Daz Cameron, not a big fan of him in the 5th spot, but okay, home run here. And then Churio in the 5th inning, a 2-run blast when it was a 1-0 game. Yeah, when it was a 1-0 game after 4 innings, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, another one of these games, we're going to be sweating it out at the end. But then the offense just out of nowhere cuts loose. And they do a nice job finishing up this road trip. I'll take a road trip like that any day of the week. into an off day on Thursday. Man, I wish it wasn't an off day. Wish they were playing. But Friday, they're back home against San Diego to start a 10-game homestand. Man, great to get back on the winning track. We'll talk to you a little bit later on tonight on the next edition of Locked On Brewers. Please subscribe.
Jeff Carr responds with his reaction to this 9-1 blowout loss for the Reds and tells how the Brewers just simply have the Reds number. They've beaten them a lot.
Well, Jose Trevino got 3 hits, right? Matt McClain got an RBI ground out. The Cincinnati Reds just can't beat the Milwaukee Brewers. I don't get it. What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast. It's now been 12 straight series that the Cincinnati Reds have lost to the Milwaukee Brewers. They've also lost now 39, which the number sounds made up, but 39 straight series whenever they lose the first game of that series. They're 0-39. And they're now 0-25 when after trailing the 6th. Like, we're getting to the point that the only way that you can explain a turnaround now for the Reds is that they're due. Right? Right.
Lost for words is our very own Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds right now. They also got bad news because Hunter Green went on the IL. So he's going to be down and felt his growing kind of tug in his last outing. So they bring in Wade Miley, who I didn't even know he's pitching still. And he got schmammered today by the Brewers as well. So things are not going well for the Cincinnati Reds right now. I know that there was a lot of faith in Terry Francona coming in and cleaning things up, but they look like the same team as they did last year. So not a lot of improvements. Let's go to Boston. All right. I know you're going to get heated on this one, John. Your Angels at the Red Sox. Take it away. Let us know what went on because the scoreboard was lighting up.
Yeah, the Angels were looking to sweep the Red Sox. They took the first 2 games of the series. JD, is it possible for both teams to lose? Because that's what this one felt like. It was a back-and-forth game. Both starters left early. It came down to one player who played hero for the Red Sox, and that was Ceddanne Rafaela. And he had a great series against the Angels. 6 for 14, homered in each game with 5 RBIs across all 3 games. He walked it off by wrapping a home run around the pesky pole. The 3rd shortest walk-off homer in the StatCast era at 308 feet. The other 2 shortest home runs are also pesky pole specials. So the Red Sox end up walking this one off 11-9. It was a roller coaster. The Angels poured on the offense. The Reds got it all back. Here's something that is a small victory for Angels fans here, JD. The Angels chased Lucas Giolito after 1 2/3 innings pitched. They put up 4 in the first. Angels starter Jose Soriano coughed up 5, but then the Angels get 3 more off Giolito in the second. And here's why that's significant. Here's why I'm picking on Giolito. They traded for him at the deadline when they still had Ohtani, and they were trying to go for it. They were all in 2023, and then he came over from the White Sox, and he sucked. So the Angels didn't get the sweep, but they do play a competitive game. They get a little measure of revenge on Giolito, and you know what? At the end of the day, it's a series win, and when you're a fan of the Halos, you'll take a series win every time.
Yeah, you got to kind of spin this to the positive side of things. All right, so we did lose one, but there is a sunnier side to it. You got Mike Trout back. You won a couple of balls. Like, I mean, there's some good things to be happy about when you're an Angels fan at the moment. And seeing Giolito just not be good at all has got to please you a little bit. And I'm glad I think you guys will sleep okay tonight. I don't think there's going to be a problem. The amount of brooms purchased just went up dramatically in this particular U.S. city. Find out who was sweeping who next on MLB Game Night. Rockies at the Marlins. On paper, and anywhere, honestly, you see this matchup and you're like, ugh, like this is not something that's going to be exciting. But the Rockies finally won a series for the first time this year against the Marlins after getting the win on Tuesday. Could they go for the sweep? Very curious about this one. I feel like a lot of people are rooting for the Rockies on this one. Paul of Locked On Rockies checks in with whether or not his team could actually seal the deal in Miami.
After picking up their first series win of the season, the Colorado Rockies now have their first sweep of the season. In fact, their first sweep since last year. Let's recap some of the stuff that happened in this game here. Some of the results, I should say here. And this is from Patrick Lyons. First series win of the season, first series sweep. It's the first series sweep in Miami, well, Florida, however you look at it, since 2006. And it's the first win for Kyle Freeland this season. Mixed with a bunch of other things, Hunter Goodman stays hot and continues to be the Rockies' best player. And one of the most surprising storylines, I think, in all of baseball. You see the Rockies' record, you say no one's doing well in that team, but then Hunter Goodman comes to town and probably raises some eyebrows. It doesn't get any easier. The Rockies got the Mets in another loaded month of baseball ahead. But at least in terms of this, we'll take a sweep. We'll take 3 days of feeling good about Rockies fans and an off day tomorrow. So not a bad week for the Colorado Rockies.
And you could see it in their faces after this game was completed, like how happy the players were. I mean, You got to feel for them. And I'm not trying to like root against the Marlins. I'm just kind of rooting for the Rockies because you hate seeing any team, well, maybe the Cubs, but any team go through that kind of disappointment for as long as they've been so far this season. And to see them pull out a sweep, got to make you feel a little bit good, right?
Got to make you feel good. Is Paul my long lost brother, by the way? I was just noticing we could be bros. He mentioned Hunter Goodman. He's actually having a great season. 281 average, 238 on base, 491 slugging, and 819 OPS. He could be overachieving a little bit. The expected numbers are a little lower than what he's putting up, but he's smashing the ball right now. 81st percentile in average exit velo, 84th percentile in hard hit percentage at 50%, and he's 68th percentile in barrel rate. So they got a good little player there in catcher Hunter Goodman in Colorado.
Yes, they do. Moving on to a pair of teams that much better records in a much better division out in the NL West. It's not the Marlins and the Rockies. Poor Rockies have to deal with these guys, though, because they're in the division. But Padres at the Giants tonight. Padres have taken the first 2 games of this series in extra innings, mind you. Before the game on Wednesday, there was some news. They announced that the Giants have DFA'd Lamont Wade Jr. No more late night Lamonte.
Come on. What are you doing to us, Giants?
We got Ben from Locked On Giants describing how things went down in San Francisco. Pretty exciting game.
The biggest win of the year for the San Francisco Giants. They come storming back from a 5-0 deficit when they hadn't scored more than 4 runs in like 2.5 weeks. This is Ben Kaspick with the Locked On Giants podcast. The day started with a flurry of roster moves and some significant, the DFA of Lamont Wade Jr., the signing of Dominic Smith, but it was Daniel Johnson who was selected from AAA Sacramento, signed out of the Mexican League, and he had a huge impact in this game. 2 big hits, 2 runs scored, big catch in the 9th inning. Elliot Ramos with a game-tying double late in the game, fired up at second base. Matt Chapman hit a home run, and Randy Rodriguez cleaned up a mess in the 9th. What more does he need to do to prove that he's the best reliever on this team? Maybe the best reliever in baseball, Randy Rodriguez. So what a much-needed sigh of relief. The Giants coming back and winning this game. We'll break it down tomorrow on Locked On Giants, where it's your team every day.
For the Padres, Tatis Jr., 3 for 5, 2 runs scored. Gavin Sheets had a big night, 2-run triple and a 2-run single. But Giants never quit. They came back on the Padres on this one. Another solid win for the Giants. Moving on to the Tigers and the White Sox, we got teams at different ends of the spectrum going on here. Tigers looking for some revenge in this one, trying to avenge that loss to the White Sox on Tuesday. Sawyer Gibson Long got the start for Detroit. 29th ranked prospect for them, according to MLB Pipeline, but it's been a real struggle for this young man because he's trying to get back to the big leagues. Debuted back in 2023. Multiple injuries since then. He had to go with Tommy John surgery. He's had hip surgery. So kind of a nice feel-good story to see him get back to the big leagues. Didn't have a great start. He lasted just 3 2/3 innings, but Bullpen had his back in this one, allowed just one more run the rest of the way. Offensively, the Tigers got out to a really hot start. They scored 4 runs in that first inning, but the Sox were able to just kind of chip away. They get back into this one, but Colt Keith doubles in a run in the 8th inning, which proved to be that game winner. Big night from Riley Green, who's a guy that another dude that's like, I feel like nobody talks about him enough. He's really, really something special in Detroit. 3 for 5, 2 RBIs. Tigers are 8-2 in their last 10, and really don't show any signs of slowing down whatsoever. Let's take us to Sacramento. John, Twins and A's. What happened with these guys?
Yeah, Twins have been pouring on the offense. They've outscored the A's 20-7 over the first 2 games, but they got some bad news. Pablo Lopez is going to miss 8 to 12 weeks with a grade 2 teres major strain in his throwing shoulder. He's got to be shut down, and he's going to miss some significant time. Now, the Twins did win this one 6-1. They only managed single-digit runs, JD. How dare they? But Ryan Jeffers and Harrison Bader hit home runs in this one. Bader looks like the Bader of old. He looks like the St. Louis Cardinal Bader that everybody wanted to trade for. He's having a great time in Minnesota. 265 average, a 792 OPS this season. So he's looking real comfortable there in Minnesota, JD.
Yeah, Harrison Bader was a guy that it was shocking when the Cardinals traded him for Jordan Montgomery. Ended up being a move that worked out for the Cardinals, but he was a fan favorite, so no bad things to say about Harrison Bader. So glad he's doing well. Astros at the Pirates. The Houston Astros shut out the Pirates on Tuesday in a 3-0 victory. Could it happen again? Well, Gary of Locked On Pirates gave us some very interesting stats about the Buccos so far this season.
Have been shut out 10 times this year in 62 baseball games. But the other side of that coin we don't talk about very often, they have shut out now 7 of their opponents in those 62 contests. So balancing the scales there. Pitching gives and it takes away, and the offense isn't effective either way. Hi, I'm Gary from Locked On Pirates, and the Pirates return serve against Houston tonight at home. They lost 3-0 last night. They won 3-0 tonight. They lost last night with their all-world ace. They won tonight with a rookie making his 3rd start. Mike Burrows was brilliant. For 5 1/3 tonight, scoreless, and Chase Schuchart came in to finish that jam. Braxton Ashcraft came in and just mowed down his 2 innings worth of hitters. And David Bednar closed the door. Boy, Braxton Ashcraft and Mike Burrows being decent is starting to make this story interesting. The Pirates really have some overflow of pitching talent. They really do. If they play it smart, they might actually be able to finish this job of building a team. More on this tomorrow on Locked On Pirates.
All right. Diamondbacks and Braves. Quite the pitcher's duel in this one, John. Merrill Kelly and Chris Sale. How did things go for these guys in this one?
Yeah, Merrill Kelly shoved. 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 walk, 8 Ks, no earnies. Chris Sale wasn't bad either. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 walks though, and 10 Ks. And those walks are going to come back to bite you, especially in a pitcher's duel. Now, here's the thing: the Braves left the bases loaded in the 8th and the 9th inning, and they brought in Raisel Iglesias to keep this one 1-0. I don't know if you know anything about Raisel Iglesias, but from his time on the Angels, you don't bring him in a non-save situation. And so at the end of the day, the Diamondbacks take this one 2-1, despite the offensive threats that the Braves had and the chances that they had.
Rangers and Rays. Somebody break up the Rays, John. One of the hottest teams in baseball. Brilliant start from Drew Rasmussen on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, it was more about the offense. Brandon Lau continues to bring the thunder. 12th home run of the season, gives them a 1-0 lead in that first inning. He'd smack an RBI double in the 3rd to make it 2-0. Finishes 3 for 4 on the night with 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. The Rangers do mount a comeback in this one after being down 5-0, but fall short, and they lose 5-4. The Rays just keep chugging along, guys. Nobody's paying attention to them, but winners of 11 of their last 14 with a run differential of plus 56 during that span. So things are going quite well for them. Take us to Seattle, John. Orioles and Mariners. What happened here?
Are the Orioles turning things around? Because they're going for their 5th straight win against a really good Mariners team. They're looking for the series victory. They took game 1 on Tuesday. Hope to repeat that on Wednesday. And they had just enough to get the job done. Seattle got out to an early 1-0 lead in the fourth, but Adley Rutschman ties it with a solo homer. Heston Kjerstad triples to drive in 2. And so the Orioles take this one 3-2. Suddenly, they've won 5 in a row. They're looking for the sweep of the Mariners tomorrow. Let's go, Orioles.
Yeah, certainly one of those teams where it's baffling. We understand the pitching issues, but where you're like, how are they not putting up runs with the guys that they got in that lineup? So it looks like they might be turning things around. Finally, Royals and Cardinals got postponed. There was some tornadic weather in the area in St. Louis today, so they're going to double up on Thursday, weather pending. Game 1 probables. You've got the excellent rookie for Kansas City, Noah Cameron, against the Lizard King, Miles Mikolas. And then Game 2 probables, you got a pair of lefties. Cole Reagans, who's returning from a growing injury for Kansas City against Matthew Liberatore.
Ooh, that'd be a good game.
Louis. Yeah, it should be. Thank you for joining us in this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We do hope that you'll come back and visit us next time on MLB Game Night. Every game, every night.